Welcome to the Drunken Star. Your table is over there.
Good evening, mate. I know why you're here. Many come to this tavern for booze and food, to rest and leave before morning's light. But you're different from these commoners. You're sick of tale, a story that unravels the mystery of the monster hunter guild known as Foxgloves. The same guild that disappeared some time ago who used to stay in this exact tavern. Well, lad, grab some honey meat and a plate to warm your belly. I will tell you the tale of what I like to call Tavern Dogs. A handful of years ago, a man named Valdez purchased this tavern from an elf named Erden. It was a good place to start a new life, away from the civilizations of man. Erden passed it off to the middle-aged man with no problem. The only thing he left was a bit of information about the upstairs rooms. The door leading to the rooms is locked, and I misplaced the key. Do what you must to get it open. With that, he jumped on his horse and left. Valdez was a middle-aged man and had no family. He watched the elf ride off down the trail while he tugged on his braided beard. He thought nothing of it and would decide to hire a locksmith to open the lock. In the meantime, he cleaned the place up and added a bit of human touch while still keeping the theme of elvish design. He hired some help from people looking for work. Soto, a dwarf. He has a big nose and extremely good at impersonating people. Sarah, Dora, and Isabella were the wenches. Sarah Curry knows many languages and has a bad habit of being arrogant. Dora Evans is the quieter of the two. She's a bit on the odd side. She knows unusual people with hair color to match. Green. Who would you know is that? Finally, Isabella Walker. Her voice is said to be mystical like that of an angel. Her only drawback here is she tends to joke and be truthful at the same time. Lastly is Logan and the cook. Both are tough as nails from what I hear. They'll play a little part in the story. Logan was a criminal back in the day with a debt in his head. Valdez felt pity and saved him from the gallows. The cook was part of a clan of barbarians far west of here. Refused to give his name out. Says his clan holds on to it for him. While he himself drank more than his coin purse had, now he's part of the roster and paying back what he owes. Business slowly picked up. Travelers came and left. Some were seeking rest. Valdez hired a locksmith to open the doors upstairs. Business would boom if he could lend out the rooms. After many tries, even he couldn't get it unhinged. He tried breaking it. It repelled him back. This was no ordinary lock. Whatever that elf had in this room, it was locked for a reason. A few days passed, and the patrons began hearing noises upstairs. Creepy and eerie noises. The sound of a woman's scream not mentioned was playing, or a scratching at the surface boards. People stood in silence as the noise would break up their daily routines. This hit Valdez's business. No one could stay in the rooms, and it sounded like there was some unnatural force upstairs at work. Drunken Star sadly never really improved from this and remained mediocre for a while. People would stay at the caravan perch right outside, then wait the night in the Drunken Star. The years passed with no sign of improvement. Then the cherry was planted on top of the cake. A small quake happened here, right under our feet. The place shook for a few seconds. Valdez was at the bar, mugs and glasses falling on him as she left behind. Soto and Isabella were down in the cellar. The rest were all staggered and left unbalanced as it happened. Chairs and silverware falling to the ground. The cleanup was hell from what I've been told. It took them almost a day to get it all cleaned. But I digress. Where was I? Yeah, right. When the worst was over, a scream from below his head. Valdez rushed down the ladder in the back. The room was dim with the torch barely lit. He found his dwarf worker Soto on the ground. He was covered in dirt and his arm had a nasty bite-up mark on it. Blood was oozing from his forearm. Like some type of monster took a bite at him.
I don't know what they were, but they took her, Des. They snatched her up and took her.
Valdez helped the dwarf up and out of the basement. Meanwhile, a few travelers came from the west. They carried weapons and the weight of experience. Each one had a symbol that affiliated them with each other. These were who you would contact if there was a monster you needed to be rid of. By chance or luck of the gods, they were there. The leader was a Torchy, a level-headed to the point quiet wild elf. Next is Viet. He was a tough dwarf bastard. He was a former military commander. Due to a battle, he lost many allies. He now walks the surface world trying to do right under Morden. Lastly was Richard. Interesting name for an elf of the woods. A genius by most and knew a lot more than he should. From what I've been told, they were coming back from a contract to be rid of a few monsters known as bugbears. They completed their task and were passing through the Sylvan Woods when they saw a commotion of people and merchants surrounding the entrance to the Drunken Star. The dwarf, without skipping a beat, moved those blocking the door aside.
Out of me way, I'm tired, me legs hurt, and I would like to get me hands on a batch of mead.
Archie and Richard followed behind their simple-minded friend as they entered the tavern. Now this was a few years ago, so something in the place has changed. The two Western-style tables were toward the front. Sconces were placed on pillars designed by elven magic. Tables were cut trunks, big and hefty. The craftsman was a beautiful design. The tavern still has the giant oak attached to the bar that endlessly spews honey from it, making it almost a wonder to see for one's eyes. To top it all off, the giant boulder to the right when you first walk in, part of it carved out for more patrons to sit around, as they get a good view of the stage in the corner. They had a few moments to reflect what they've seen when Valdez came up from a cellar with Soto in hand. The cook, with his massive build, helped put Soto on a table. A few customers helped tend to his wounds. Valdez grabbed a bottle and poured himself a shot. Whatever was downstairs took Isabella. This began to look like a nightmare. He looked around the room. He needed volunteers to go down and save her. He stroked his beard, thinking what he had to do. Logan was a bouncer who had seen a fair share of trouble, so he was gone. The cook needed to stay in case things went wild like witches during a blissful night. But who else would stick their head out for him? Hitachi made his way to the front, gracefully moving around the chaos. He knew as Valdez and thought knew this was the man in charge. My name is Hitachi. I work with a guild known as Foxglove. You may have heard of us? Valdez tried to toughen up. He looked at the wild elf a bit curious on what angle he was coming from. He was equipped with tools and weapons, hair and a knot, yet he knew no idea what Foxglove was and didn't really care.
I have not, lad. Are you some kind of guild that sells flowers and herbs? If so, I have no time to talk to a gardener.
Hitachi let the insult slide. I'm here to fix problems. We're a contracted guild that hunts monsters for the price of coin. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Do you understand? Hitachi and Valdez looked eye to eye to each other, both on the same level of seriousness. He looked toward Soto, who was grunting in pain from the recent attack.
I don't have much to offer, but I will pay you with whatever means necessary if I have to. Please save Isabella for me. You find whoever took her and remove it like someone's head.
Hitachi nodded and with a slight smile said, You have my word. Hitachi turned to his allies. We have work, guys. Let's go save the damsel. With that, they jumped over the bar and headed down toward the cellar. Valdez turned to Logan, who was awaiting what to do next. Logan was a protection. He had to be watchful of everything that was happening. He was decisive in his work and didn't like hesitation. Valdez nodded approval. That was all Logan needed to follow behind Foxglove. The cellar was damp. There was a handful of giant dwarven kegs placed at the northern and eastern walls. You could tell by the size and thickness of the wood. A small fountain was in the corner, used to keep things cool. On the opposite end was an opening with crumbled rubble. They grabbed one of the torches in the room. Richard knelt down where the debris was. He brushed his hand along the floor while letting his vision adjust to the dark. A puddle stood out. His fingers touched across the surface of it, brought to his nose the smell.
It was blood. It's gone a bit cold. I say 5-10 minutes tops.
He noticed there were marks in the ground, like something was dragged here.
And it seems it goes deeper in the tunnel. Like it is anywhere else to go.
Four of them headed down in the tunnel in search of Isabella. They had no idea what they were going to find along the way. First up was an abandoned elven cellar. The place was old, way before our time. In there was a fireplace with kegs that had decayed. They all looked around the room before moving on. Logan was a bit on the odd side of things and saw the wall was a bit unusual. With no hesitation, and bear with me, and this really happened, he licked the wall. I don't know why anybody would lick a wall in the first place. The extraordinary thing about it was the wall began to glow, all around them. Now, I've gone down there myself with my own eyes. Like veins in the wall lit up with a blue hue, it made torchlight useless. Now, Foxglove looked at him with such a look that Hitachi didn't see the surprise laid out in front of him. Big spiders the size of gnomes came out of hiding to attack him. Must have been four of them. They fired clumps of web toward Hitachi. He evaded the surprise with ease. He drew his blades out and began to defend himself against the next assault. The rest of the members moved in, trying to close the distance between them. The battle lasted for maybe half a minute. The spider leaped at Viet, only to be met with his warhammer. Viet smashed it so hard the body flew toward the wall it came from, crushing the vermin upon contact. Logan was caught in the web attack and needed assistance to break out. And even among Hitachi's grace of dodging and defending, he was wounded on the leg, same type of wound that Soto had. Hitachi made use of the strike to get an easier jab at the creature, splitting its abdomen right down the middle. The fight was just a warm-up compared to what would come next. After the encounter, they took a few moments to reflect on what attacked them. Why were spiders waiting to ambush? The vermin would wait in their webs for something to come along and get stuck. Something was playing a bigger part. They proceeded down the tunnel, leaving the blue lighted room behind them. The tunnel opened up a bit with a giant crack in the middle, running from one side of the room to the other. An ancient dais was partially bare to the wall where the crack ended. The sound of water drops could be heard with an odd scratching. Logan was the first to look down with torch in hand. What he saw was disturbing. Giant centipedes were moving along the inside of the pot of death. He dropped the torch in horror. The light revealed hundreds as it fell farther and farther until it vanished. Centipede after centipede moved out of the crack, going every which way. Some headed toward Foxglove, others to different sides of the room. Torture lodged one in the wall of this natural caravan with his arrow. Viet busted few like it was some game. Richard let magic missiles of light fly around the room, striking those who were headed toward them. Logan took a dagger to one as it lashed out toward him. Another crawled up his leg and bit him in the torso. Blood splattered on the floor. He reversed his blade to its head, dropping it. I heard the bite wasn't the worst part. Said it felt like your body was just going numb and you didn't want to move. Something that could freeze you in place. Scary thought, being covered with those monsters and nothing you could do. Give me the shivers. The rest escaped and the group quickly jumped over the crack and proceeded down the tunnel. Soon the cavern opened up massively. There were stalagmites around with a giant hill of rubble. The ceiling had a crack in it that shed light down for them. The path following the wall was visible, with a small pond of water underneath it. They saw two carcasses on the hill. One looked to be a bear, the other a human. It rested at the bottom of the hill. The flesh of the legs were gone with just white bone showing as the upper half had tattered clothing and looked decayed. Something shiny caught their attention. A metal scroll case was in the bony hands of this dead huntsman. Something was off. Itachi figured it was some kind of trap. Viet, on the other hand, wanted the shiny object and didn't really care. They busted a rope between them in case things went bad. There was a 10-foot drop down into the small, smooth stone step. Try to say that 3 times fast. The dwarf rushed over to the dead carcass of bones, rummaged through its things and took the scroll case. Viet offered a prayer to Morden. It was the least he could do. What he didn't see was some kind of grey liquid moving out of the rocks in front of him. Logan called out to him in caution. Viet saw for himself and dashed back to his allies. The ooze moved slowly. It didn't really have any form of intelligence to it. I've later come to find out it was known as a grey ooze, one of many different types roaming around the world of ours. They could fit in many spaces. They could suck the meat right off your bones if you're unfortunate enough to fall prey to one. Viet scrambled up the wall with help Logan. Richard let out a barrage of magic into the creature to weaken its form. Then Itachi finished it with a boulder from on high. I think it was about 10 inches in diameter. After the small bout, Viet looked inside the scroll case and found 50 gold pieces in it, all condensed to use every inch of space. Talk about a great find. I only wish I was that lucky. Oh, hey, excuse me, love. Can I get another pint?
Sure thing. Are you planning on drinking till the sun comes up again?
You know me too well. That's Isabella. Cute, right? You may not know this about her, but she's a hybrid. Or other words, half-elf. Anyway, back to the story. They followed the path where it led to the back of the wall under the debris. Again, another tunnel into the darkness. They proceeded through. They walked down it for a couple of minutes until it started to open up. The room showed more and more cobwebs and 6 pillars in the middle. 2 thick ones on the end, 4 small ones in the center. Itachi was in the lead and moved behind one of the smaller pillars. He tried to get a better view of the area. Now, anything could happen down there in the unknown territory. What they didn't expect was not the spiders moving around the walls to get closer, but those pillars were legs of something bigger. The so-called pillar Hitachi was hiding behind lifted up and came down, piercing his side. It sent him reeling toward his allies. Then a voice that sounded old and coarse was heard at the front with many eyes looking toward them.
More have come, my children. I told you the food would come to us. Now go and feed. Feed till your taste is sick.
Stop talking about it while I'm here. There you go.
Thank you again, love. Just put on my tab.
I can do that.
It was a giant spider known as Darklectum. He has lived 100 years and thought to be dead. Out of all the places, Foxglove had to kill it to survive. They fought with caution, trying to stay out of Dark's range of his leg attacks. Logan saw a web cocoon near Dark and rushed toward it with no fear. He knew it was her that was lodged in there. He slid past the legs, dodging attack after attack. The members of Foxglove had their hands full with spiders that took their flank. Richard was stuck in a wall from a web attack and couldn't move. Viet rushed to his aid and repelled the attacks to break his ally free. Itachi shot one with multiple arrows at the price of getting his feet stuck. Logan defended Isabella with his life, killing a spider that jumped on him. The battle would turn in their favor as soon as Richard broke free. He used his magic and formed the Whip of Thorns. He used Viet as a shield and lashed out at every spot in the room that he could reach. Soon the battle was already in their hands. Torchy, Richard, and Viet were out of range of Dockleton and fired arrow after arrow, bolt after bolt, and spell after spell toward the creature, killing it in minutes. I heard the sound of its life leaving from its carcass was something men would fear. Anyway, now you're probably thinking, why didn't the spider move up to kill him? Well, Doc was old. Older than time permitted. And big. Really big. He stayed in the tunnel for so long he couldn't move, and didn't have the strength to do it. He relied on his children to bring him food. Sounds like a horrible way to go, but shit happens. Logan released Isabella from her bindings, only to discover a nasty wound on her torso. A simple spell would not be enough to cure her of a poisonous ailment. It was something that they've never seen. Yet promised to look into it as soon as they reached the tavern. Luckily, nothing came after them. Smooth sailing, in other words. Valdez was grateful for what they had done, offered them free mead for life and thanks for helping them out in his hour of need. This was the turning point of his business. Now this tale has a few things that need to be made clear. Valdez and her group went down there to see what treasures they could find. Underneath Dockleton's body was a chest covered in webs. It was locked with no key in sight. A simple thief could pick the lock though, no problem. Next, they removed Doc's head and extracted the poison from it in hopes of learning of an antidote. They used the head as a display that can even be seen today, right over the bar over there. As for Isabella, well, Viet stood by her side with Logan, spending days treating the poisonous wound. The poison was to spread, eventually running the victim in so much pain that they wished someone to just plunge a dagger in the face. Yeah, that painful. Yeah, well, this isn't the end of the story, you see. It's just the beginning. I need to use the latrine to release the dam in my lower wall. Stick around if you want to hear the rest of my tale.